I think what I found most fascinating is I know that Zoanne, the work that you do and your organization does is quite scientific, but you don't have a science background. So can you tell me a little bit about how that came to be? Because when I started doing this project, I was scared because I am not a scientist and I don't have a science background. So as an executive director of Streamkeepers, how did you sort of overcome that barrier? Or did you even think it was a barrier?
I didn't start off to be a science person. I was just helping out. My community advisor with fisheries was the one that was editing the Streamkeepers handbook. And so he was just asking me questions and what I would do. And my first half was to write a brochure. And I was scared because I'd never written a brochure. But all I did was ask people to help. And everybody put the stuff together and we did this brochure. When I passed it around with red pens. And I said, circle things that are wrong. If it comes back not marked up, I'll know you didn't look at it. And so, sure enough, and we still use that same brochure now, and that was, 15 years ago. But like I started off doing that and built my way up and just kept trying something new, until I was the one who had tried things the most. And then I became the expert because I had to try things more often than others.
That's great.
When the book was being written, I took the little course and then I took the book and the tools down to the creek and I just sat there and I watched the creek and I watched the book and I read and I did exactly what it said because it's written in plain language. And I went through it and then I thought there was a piece of math missing and math is not my best friend. And I didn't know I was supposed to do something because it didn't tell me to do it. And so I didn't, they said everyone would know. But the week before, when I had taken the water testing to see how much water was going down the creek, I knew by visual it had more water than the creek I was working on right then. But my math said I had more water. I thought, this is not right. So I swallowed my pride and went and told the people, I don't know math and I don't know what I've done wrong, but by looking at the water, this number's not, I know my number's not right. And they said, oh, you were supposed to do these other set of figures. So they changed the book, and they put in another step so that people like me could actually understand it. And it's been my honesty along the way that has made it so books have changed and policy has changed and things have been written clearer. Because I honestly say, I don't know the word that you just used, or I don't know that language. And then people are open with that, and they make changes so that we can all understand. But yeah, it's I was nervous one day when I was teaching university and college professors, but pretty soon I found out at that time I had 10 years of experience, and I knew more about that little piece of life than they did. I learned an awful lot about plants from them that weekend, but they learned about water from me.
That's a fantastic story. So Ryan, I'm going to ask you the reverse. You are an expert in science. So how do you translate that so that ordinary citizens can understand it and act on it, right?
That was one of my main difficulties because when I started with this project on getting these people on board and discussing toxic pollution and whatever, when I did the initial proposal, my own staff who have backgrounds in media or have backgrounds in fundraising, they just looked at me and they're like, what? Okay, this will not fly as a communications. And that's why we have, and always in Greenpeace, we have a campaigns department and we have a communication department that we work together all the time to make sure that us scientists, our language is brought down so that it's more of a public language and not boring, because apparently when we go too much into our science, we get a bit boring. That's what we hear from our...
Zoanne, you're laughing, right?
It's not boring. It's not boring. It's just we get bored because we don't understand what you're saying. There's a difference, right? What you're saying is exciting. It's just to us, we don't know what you're saying.
That's right.
So from experience now, because I've had other people who, when I have to bounce ideas off of them and then they let me know if it's good or not. So I've learned to communicate better on my science, I would say, so that I can explain things in a more simplistic way, and I try to avoid big complicated ideas, especially when we're talking on, we had some videos that we were filming for this for this secret mission that we put up on YouTube for our agents to follow. We were sending them exclusively to our agents at first, and then they became public domain afterwards. We were trying to write it in a way to get the message across why this is dangerous, and at the same time avoid going into stuff that people are really not gonna be comprehending, except if you have a background in biology or a background in chemistry, that not just high school chemistry, I would say. So yeah, it's a bit difficult, but you learn to adapt to make sure that people will listen to you. And I think it's the same thing because your theme is citizen science. Many of the people who replied to us and they were agents, a lot of them do not have science background. The first responders were people who have a science background because they were really just they were teachers or something, and they just wanted to share it with someone. And then you get the rest of people. We had some young business majors, boys and girls, I would say not over 25, sending us Instagram pictures because that's what the cool tool that they are using at the time. So that they were sending us these pictures and they had no idea what the pollution was. They were just saying, this is the area, this is what's happening, not sure exactly what's going into the water. Other people would send us detailed reports. They would tell us, I know for a fact that this is a textile factory, so I know that this water will be polluted with this type of dye or this type of chemical. So it was just varying on all levels.